So, living indicates the legal and public act of marriage. The wedding itself, it calls for the couple to stand up and proclaim to the world, we are no longer single. We are joined as one unit. It testifies that the man and woman are willing to make a commitment to each other. Has that been your experience, those of you who have been married? Did you make that total commitment? Your commitment to each other, to live together and to share your future for the rest of your lives. Today, our message is to enrich our marriage bond. Many of you, I believe, are having and enjoying the bliss of a successful marriage. And if not, may the messages that we give today help you restore the joy that you have at the beginning of your marriage. Being one flesh describes the physical aspect of marriage. God, in His great wisdom, sought for some way to symbolize and to celebrate the blending of two lives. Those of you who are married, have your lives been blended as one flesh? If not, it's time for you to ask the Holy Spirit to restore that unity of blending of your lives as one flesh. Being one flesh means of more than a physical thrill and a release of bodily tension between any male and female. It means that the two, they shall be one flesh. And the phrase is meaning only when coupled with the first two elements. Thank you. When the first two elements are present. It means that two persons share everything they have, not only their bodies, not only their material possessions, but also their thinking and their feeling, that their joy and their suffering, their hopes and their fears, their successes and their failures. To become one flesh means that two persons become completely one with body, soul, and spirit. And yet, there are two different persons. It doesn't mean that when two are married that they lose their individuality. God would like us to retain our individuality, but make every effort to live as one flesh. Putting the three elements of this verse, live, cleave, and be one flesh, we see that a loving Creator designed a marriage that would bring the greater possible happiness. And I don't like to use the word happiness. I like to use the word joy, because happiness is fleeting. It depends on condition, but joy is constant. So that's what the Lord has planned when He established marriage. Their union was to be a true companionship of intimacy and sharing. In this oneness, the partners better understand the fellowship that they may experience that with God Himself. Ellen White, the messenger of the Lord, writing under inspiration, also shares that the companionship marriage based on complete equality and tender closeness was God's plan for humankind. So the word cleave, means in the Hebrew expression to glue, to adhere. So marriage is a commitment to each other for life. If we do it less than that, we will suffer the consequences. One flesh. This is a process which continues as long as life continues, cultivating of a one flesh relationship. It means that the two persons share everything they have, not only their bodies, not only their material possessions, but also their thinking and their feeling, their joy and their sufferings, their hopes and their fears, their successes and their failures. Living, see, we have the first, what's that? Live, then cleave, then being one flesh. Living indicates that the legal and public act of marriage, the wedding itself, it calls for the couple to proclaim and declare to the society that henceforth they will be known as a unit. It testifies that man and woman are willing to make commitment to each other, to live together, and to share their future for the rest of their lives. Beloved, as you look into your own experience, has that been going on in your marriage? They do not make the commitment secretly, that they can back out if things do not develop as they hope. They tell the world. They burn all the bridges behind them. They make a clean cut with their parental homes and begin a new family. That's what I had in my first marriage. When we were married in 1959, we left the Philippines. We were together in serving the Lord in Laos. We left our homes. We left our loved ones, because that is giving a clean cut from parental homes. We're inclined to think that love should vary according to performance, and that people need to change before we can have or can love them more. That is not God's kind of love. And it isn't the way to change someone. Have you thought that when you would marry, if your spouse is not going to conform with your desires and wishes, that you would make every effort to change? If you do that, that is not what God really intended for marriage. If you are trying to change your partner in the past or at present, stop. Instead, ask God to change you. Not to change your partner, but change yourself. Be the kind of a husband, be the kind of a wife, instead of wishing that you change your partner. How often do you show or express your appreciation for what your spouse does? You know, today I received a beautiful Valentine card from my wife. And she mentioned here what the things that she appreciates in me. I appreciate this beautiful Valentine letter. Yes, how often do you show your or express your appreciation? And how often do you tell your wife or your husband, I love you? Once a day? Once a week? Once a month? Don't be like a couple who went to see a marriage counselor, and the marriage counselor asked the husband, when was the last time you said that you love your wife? Oh, that was 23 years ago. Because that should be lasting, he said. You know, if you like your marriage bond to be going on happy, tell your spouse, I love you. You know how many times my wife and I tell we love each other? We have two ways of saying we love you. When we are driving, we hold hands. And if I squeeze her hand, 1, 2, 3, I love her. And I don't let the night go without saying, darling, I love you. And because of this, our marriage for 1 year and 7 months has been very blissful and joyful. God desires that your marriage continue to develop to be the best and the happiest. So today, our prayer is for you, your marriage bond to be blessed, to be enriched, to be strengthened, and to be made the happiest marriage that you have. At this time, my wife will continue.
Thank you. As I was typing on my computer the title of this program, Enriching the Marriage Bond, when I came to the word bond, the suffix age attached itself to the word. So the title read, Enriching the Marriage Bondage. Is marriage really supposed to be a bondage? Certainly not. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here talking about enriching our marriage. Most of what I will say now is testimony with some hints on how to enrich the marriage bond. When I was in college, about sophomore, my major professor, a single lady, achieved her doctorate degree. I was so impressed, and I looked up to this lady, you see. She was not married. So I said, I would like to be like her. I don't want to get married, no husband, no family, no children. I will achieve the highest point that I can, be a career woman and be happy. When I graduated, some years later, I graduated on a Sunday, 10 o'clock, and the following day, Monday, I got married. So I marched 2 times that weekend, one for graduation and one for my wedding. And I thought, so it is God who determines whether we get married or not. Because I got married, and very happy marriage followed after that. So when my husband passed away, my friends were asking me, Bien, do you plan to remarry? And I told them, that is not my problem. That is God's problem, because He is the one who determines what should happen to us. And And God has been really good. My first marriage lasted for 50 years and 7 months. And with the number 7 there, I think it was a perfect marriage. My husband had a stroke, and after 18 years after the first stroke, he passed away. And as I watched him breathe his last, I knew I had lost something. So it is not probably us who determines whether if we're married or not. It is God's plan. So if we don't get married, God has a purpose for us. I have a friend who she didn't get married, but she had sent her siblings through school, even her nephews and nieces, and she was very happy. And she said, I think this is my mission in life. But if we do get married, it has to be happy. There is another word. Today is Valentine's Day, Love Day. There is another word associated with the word love. It is also a 4-letter word. And that word begins with G. And that word is give. A marriage relationship is a relationship of giving. There is no room for selfishness in a marriage. So each person, each spouse always thinks not of how he or she can benefit, but of how he or she can help his partner. Because in that way, you enrich the relationship. Thinking of yourself spoils that relationship. God so loved that he gave. Somebody said, you can give without loving, but you cannot love without giving. So that love in the heart of the couple makes them want to give. One of the things that we can give is time. Time is an element that we need to share with our partner. Okay, we can give gifts, we can give whatever, but giving time is essential. Not only essential, it is most necessary. The reason why couples drift apart is because they have no time for each other. Sometimes, a couple sit together without saying anything. Is that good or bad? Pardon? Sometimes. That's right. It can be good and it can be bad. It can be good in that, okay, when you talk, you can share your ideas. And also, communication doesn't have to be always speaking. Just being together, holding hands, looking into each other's eyes. You communicate through your eyes. Those are all gestures of love. And so the husband and the wife must think of ways that they can give something to their spouse. One thing that my first husband left me, still, I can never forget it. I wasn't aware of it, but one day, our children asked him, Dad, can we go shopping? It was a Saturday night. And I overheard what my husband said. I wasn't there right with the children. I overheard him and he said, no, this is Saturday night and this is Mama's night. And when I heard that, I was surprised because I had noticed that on Saturday night, he wouldn't accept any appointments. But on Saturday night, he would do with me whatever I wanted to do. If I wanted to go out to eat or stay at home, but I like to play Scrabble. So most of the time, we ended up playing Scrabble. If I wanted to play until midnight, he would be there even if he was sleepy, as long as we were playing. So what he could give besides gifts was this gift of time. So Saturday night was a special time just for me. And I thought, and I felt like a queen. But I was a queen only on Saturday night, because after midnight, I was back to being housewife. Another couple, a friend of ours, the husband had his own way of making his wife happy. Every morning, he fixed breakfast. He said, never mind if it was the same oatmeal and toast and other. But every single morning, he fixed breakfast so that his wife could fix herself for the day. And I said, oh, what a beautiful, and that is a daily sacrifice. So there are ways, different ways that we can express, that we can communicate our love. And wives too. What can I do for my husband? One thing that we should not do is to nag our husbands. I think nagging drives men crazy, doesn't it? No? Yes. I realized this because one day I was going to tell my husband about something that we had already talked about before. And he said, hadn't we already talked about this? So it struck me that he did not want leftovers. You know, nagging is to repeat something that we have already said, and even referring to times in the past. You did this today. I told you 10 years ago not to do this, and you're still doing that. That is pure nagging, and it just spoils the relationship. So, not only for wives, but for husbands, one gift that you can give to your husband is to refrain from nagging and give your spouse opportunity to think for himself what he should or should not do. Because the marriage relationship is a very delicate relationship, as you can notice from what is happening in the married world today. So communication can be given through various ways, and each one can think of how you can make your marriage special in its own way, because God gave us that capacity. We could talk more and more, but I think we have another ceremony coming up. There was a question that was given to us, and I was meaning to address it, but maybe we will leave that for another time. So if you love, give, because giving is a way that we can express our love, and as God loved and gave, we too can give. And Christ loved his bride. What did he give? He gave his very life. He gave his life. May we all have that heart of love that aims not only to make ourselves happy, but to make our spouse happy.